Morning, everybody. It's Betty. Today I want to talk to you about day two and the insights that I got from the Vipassana and the training that I did. And this was a 10-day live. Uh, Actually, it was a 10-day silent meditation, Vipassana silent meditation. And I've been kind of reading up on some of what I learned, and I've taken some notes, and I've been really thinking about what the insights were. If you recall, last week we talked about day one, and day one was setting up the foundation of the trainings and how critical the foundation is for when we get together with a brand new team and or start a relationship or begin a conversation, setting the context for whatever it is that we're going to be doing so that we can create a deeper understanding and create better communication with folks, and so that we can actually be present in the conversation. So that was last week, and that was day one. It was a excuse me, it was a very deep day with a lot of insights. And it wasn't until I started thinking about day two this whole week, how critical that day two was and how that translates to our leadership journey. When we begin to do something completely different, and as you recall, we were really focusing on the breathing and really meditating on breathing, breathing in, breathing out, and really focusing on this particular area. Day two, we started to focus on a smaller area, kind of here. And anytime we try to do something to break habits, it's totally different for us, and so we try to maybe do something different or go back to, it's almost like a rubber band, right? You try to break the habit. It's like going to an exercise room. Very similar to that. The whole idea, and I'm gonna grab my notes here, the whole idea of the Vipassana from my own experience, and again, everybody gets something different, but I went in to really get some insights for my life and for my leadership journey. And what I noticed was the whole idea was really to be able to develop mastery of one's mind. I spoke to several people this week. Actually, I kind of wrote it down because it's important that you know kind of the type of people that are interested in this kind of thing. It was a little bit different because this week I was talking to folks because they noticed something different, and they noticed that I was present. They noticed that my mind was a lot more clear. My decisions were more succinct. This week I feel like, and I've continued to do the Vipassana. And this week was really interesting. Hey, Jacques, how are you? Oh my gosh, you're in Hong Kong, yay! So this week was really interesting because I started to feel like I was a lot more focused, and I felt like my decisions were being made. I was able to think because I had gotten all of the stuff out of my mind. Miriam, ¿cómo estás? Qué preciosa, gracias. From Colombia, ¿estás en Colombia? Anyway, so we were, this week, because of the discipline, if you think about the discipline of getting your mind completely out, completely clean, and then being able to think clearly about one topic without your mind focusing on all kinds of different things. A lot of times when we started to meditate day one and even day two, a lot of fleeting thoughts would come into my mind, and the thoughts would come in from the past, thoughts would come in from the future, memories would come in, and that's exactly what happens in real life. We're having a conversation with someone, and I was having a conversation with someone this week, and I saw his eyes get really glossy, and I thought, oh my gosh, this is what I must have looked like. And people can tell when you're not paying attention. You're thinking that they can tell, but your mind just goes and you don't have control. You don't have mastery of your mind. And what happens is, have you been in a meeting where somebody says something and you've been in the meeting, you feel like you've been in the meeting, and then all of a sudden you say, can you say that again because I missed it? Pay attention to those moments, because those are the moments when you miss something, or your loved one says something to you in an intimate moment and you feel so bad because you missed what they said. It's because you don't have mastery of your mind. Your mind just has these fleeting thoughts. So the whole idea was to be able to have mastery of your mind, and so that you can actually focus on what's present. So day 2 was where we started to delve deeper. So the way that it went, we went from paying attention to just the conscious intentional breath. So they had us actually breathe intentionally. And then the second part was paying attention to the natural breath, just the unconscious natural breath that happens when you breathe in and then you breathe out, and how that happens. And then after that, that lecture that evening, and in anticipation of day 3, he said we were going to be starting to pay attention to, and I'm looking at my notes because I had to kind of write it all out so I could explain it to you clearly. The natural physical sensations in a very limited area. And we'll go through that next week at the same time. I'll go through day 3 because day 3 was also very insightful. This is why I'm breaking this into different days, because every day was so incredibly insightful. So I want to kind of walk you through high-level overview. So this week I talked to a judge, an attorney, a construction designer who's a genius, and he's also in my book. His name is Chris, and some of my employees. And when I talked to them about the ability to clear your mind and be able to really focus on only one thought, in a moment when there are a lot of things going on, it's really easy to lose sight and to make mistakes and to say the wrong thing, or to hit send on the wrong email or attach the wrong something, right? And it's really easy for us to do all of this, or just to get short with someone because, well, can't you see I'm really busy, or all of that. But when your mind is clear and you're able to focus on only one thing at a time, then all of your gray matter is really focusing on one thing. And that's what I noticed this week, is I was a lot more focused. Yesterday, I was having a wonderful time with a new friend, dear friend, Mark Golston, and he wrote this book, which, by the way, I highly recommend it. And he's a psychiatrist, and he does a lot of work for different companies, and just an incredible human being, very bright. And you know, he said to me, and that was a really big compliment. He said, one of your biggest gifts is you are present. I talk to a lot of people, he said, who are just not present, very famous people that you're trying to have a conversation with them and it's really difficult to get them to focus. And so it's almost like you're trying to not miss something. Like you don't want to miss something, and so your eyes wander, and then your brain wanders, and then you begin to remember something, and the person in front of you recognizes that you're not really being present with them. So imagine having the most important conversation of your career with your boss, and your boss is looking at you but thinking about something else. How does that make you feel? Imagine your children coming to you and having a conversation with you, or your spouse or your significant other, and trying to have that conversation with you, and your mind is so busy that you don't pay attention. How did you feel? I remember having conversations with my boss many years ago, one individual, and this individual was so very busy. The phone was going off the hook, then the computer, they were on the computer and I was talking to them and trying to get their attention. It's very difficult to do that. So the beauty of being present and the ability to make decisions that are more sound, and once you make the decision, you move on. You are just more present. And then another thing is the beauty of not getting emotionally attached to things, and being able to see them equanimously, being able to see them objectively, which is something that we talked about in the last two Saturday postings, is the ability to see things as they are. And as I was sharing with the study group I have, that things come and go. One person said, you know, things come and then they change. They don't necessarily go, they change. And maybe they change to move away from you, and that's a change. But I kind of like that verbiage for myself, and I think I'm going to use that. Things actually come and they change. Nothing is really permanent. Even our bodies are not permanent. Even our bodies are just a shell that's going to go away. So if the goal is to purify the mind, one of the conversations I was having with someone this week was about a new term that I came up with this week, and I don't know if somebody coined it, but I thought of it, and it's innocent curiosity. And when your mind is pure, meaning when you're having a conversation with someone and you come to them with something that is really innocent, it's almost like, if you remember when a child is little, they say, hey mommy, why is the world like this? Or mommy, why did you do this? And why? And it's that innocent curiosity that happens in a child. Well, somehow when we grow up, we get a lot of baggage, and we bring that baggage with us. And in our conversations, we think about the past and we're talking in the present. So if we were able to just talk in the present and not have our mind thinking of the past or wishing for the future, but really being present, then imagine what that would look like. Then that innocent curiosity would play in. So we wouldn't be asking questions with an ulterior motive. We would be asking questions from an innocent place. So that was something that really came up. And one of the things that he said was, abstain from unwholesome actions. Perform only wholesome ones to purify the mind. So when we think about creating mastery of our mind, and creating our mind in a way that it's pure and it comes from a clean space, or it comes from a neutral place, how would we do that? Well, it's really simple. We begin to train our mind so that we can create mastery of it. Goenka, who is the teacher for this Vipassana training, he talked about the universal law of nature. So one of the things is, when you help others, you're helping yourself. When you harm others, you harm yourself. And some of the universal laws of nature. But in order to generate help for others, he says you must generate love and compassion for people. So love and compassion play a really big role, and that was something that was really present for me this week. We were finalizing some reviews of some folks, and as I was delivering some news to folks, I was really present with being able to deliver their performance reviews with love and compassion, and really being present with them, and having them feel like they are the most important person for me. And how wonderful to be in front of a leader. So have you ever been in front of a leader that does completely opposite? And how did that make you feel? So think about that, and how wonderful it is that we can actually create a wonderful environment for people when we are present. There was a post this week, and if you look in there for one of my new mentees, Regan Hillier, Hillyer, Regan, Regan. And if you look at her, she did a post where she actually got asked to go to Skid Row here in California. She's from New Zealand and does some life trainings all over the world. But she did this post, and she was asked to talk to folks in Skid Row, children in Skid Row, and she goes through the whole process in her post, and how wonderful it was that she was able to give to them. At first, she didn't know, what am I going to give to them? What am I going to give to them? And I think the best gift that she gave to them was she was present with them. And she made them feel important by being present with them. And how wonderful it is that we have the opportunity to make people feel special just by merely making sure that our mind is clear of all other things, not just our physical body. Sometimes we put our phones down and we put them down completely, and we say, okay, I'm just going to do this and put it down so that I can just be present with you, but our minds are not present. And so part of purifying our mind is really being able to master the mind, and part of mastering the mind is really spending time in meditation, in the right kind of meditation. And I don't know that there's a wrong kind of meditation, but for me, this particular type of meditation has really helped me to really focus on what's important to me, and focus on things that are right. And so looking at the things in front of me, or the people in front of me, exactly as they are, not as I wish them to be, or as I don't wish them, or as I wish them not to be, but as they truly are in front of them, and being completely present. Mark, yesterday we spent an hour and a half together, and it was a wonderful gift to be able to truly be with someone, be present with him, and know that he is present with me. There was an incredible connection that happened, and we were able to go very deep very quickly. One of the gentlemen that he introduced me to, who's like-minded also, we went for 3 minutes, and we went very deep very quickly one evening this week on my way home. So there are 3 things that were taught at the end of day 2, and I want to share these 3 things with you. Abstaining from wholesome deeds of body and speech. And if you think about abstaining from unwholesome deeds in your body and in your speech, meaning at the very beginning they set the context, and I talked about that in my first post. And the context was no lies, and I'm reading from the Vipassana booklet they gave us, and they said to abstain from killing any beings, to abstain from stealing, from all sexual activity, from telling lies, and from all intoxicants, and then also from any bodily decoration. So they really wanted to have us be completely clean and clear of anything that would take away our ability to do this. Well, so the purifying of speech is lies and deceits, and harsh words to hurt others. How many times do we entertain something that came to us via someone that said something to us, and because they hurt us, we assume that they meant to hurt us, and so we immediately spat out at them, and we say, no, we're gonna one up them. And I laugh because I used to do that, and it's not a good thing to try to one up people and try to, hey, if they say, hey, I just did this, and then you think about, well, I did something better, well, let me tell them so I can beat them. That's not right. That's not good. It's back to that purity of thought, and that innocent curiosity that I was talking about a little bit earlier. And then slanderous talk, talking bad about somebody else. Hi, baby. Oh, Alexandria, my daughter from Utah. So purity of of speech and purity of thought is so important, and being able to take away all of your thoughts. And I'm getting emotional that my daughter is listening to this and watching this, because these are the conversations we used to have when she was little, and um, and how important it is for us to teach our kids to be pure. And it's us, when oh my gosh, Alexandria, you made me emotional. Children are the messengers we send to a time we will never see. And I always say this. And the significance of what I learned was so huge. And when we purify our minds, when we are present in the moment, right at that moment, that is when we can actually affect change. And many of you that are my friends on Facebook, I have accepted your friendship because of who you are and because of the type of person you are, because you really want to make a difference. And this is why I'm doing these posts, is so that we can really make a difference. But we can't make a difference if we don't take the time to become better leaders, and to just really do this right. So purifying our speech was one of them, and then our actions. They said, don't kill anything. I remember Alex, when we were little, she used to say, don't kill the ant, don't kill the ant. And then the little bugs in the house, because we live up in a hill, and with a lot of trees around us, so there's bugs everywhere. Don't kill the bug, just take it out. So she actually trained me to do that. So I thought about Alex when I was out there. But stealing, rape and adultery, getting intoxicated to the point where we don't know what we're doing, and then we might hurt others without really wanting to do so. That was really important. And then making a living in a wholesome way. And those are three things that are actions, right, that we do. How are we making a living? And are we trying to make a living because we're insatiable, and trying to, thank you, baby, and in trying to get more and more, and when is it enough, and when is it enough? Or we want to make more money because we want to beat somebody else, and they're making this, so I'm going to make this because I just want to beat them. Or what's our purpose? So money, people say money is sinful. No, the love of money is sinful, and the greed, and it's that greed, and it's that desire to have more just because you just want more, and you get devastated if you don't get it. And this is what Goenka was talking about in his teachings. He was talking about craving, aversion, and ignorance. If you remember from last week when I talked about day one, he talked about craving. When you're craving something that is so much bigger than you, and you just absolutely have to have it, and if you don't have it, then you are devastated, right? And then the aversion is you stay away from something because if you stay away from this, then it's going to be better. Instead of looking at things equanimously, instead of looking at things from an objective perspective. And I found that this week in my conversations with my team, in my conversations with people. There was someone that made a couple of errors on something, and I remember calling them and saying, are you okay? Is everything okay? Because this is unlike you. You're usually very much on top of things, and are you okay? And it was that innocent curiosity that I talked about. And she said, yeah, I'm fine. It's just, there's just a lot going on. There's different projects, and this is what's going on. And it was a wonderful conversation. And then later that day, they came up to me and said, is that innocent curiosity that you were using with me? I said, actually, I didn't think about it, but yeah, it was. It's what I'm calling now. I'm actually coining it innocent curiosity, because how wonderful it is to be asked about our actions from an innocent place and not from a place of judgment. So those are some of the lessons that I learned this week. They were actually pretty big lessons. So the greed part being a huge one. And then wholesome actions was the last one. And I'm only going to keep you for another couple of minutes because I don't want to keep these any more than 30 minutes each week. Wholesome action, developing mastery of our mind. Having the right effort is the wholesome action. And for me, it was meditating every day so that I can continue to have mastery of my mind. And mastery of my mind meaning being able to just be present and not have my mind fleet when I'm having a conversation with someone. I remember my daughters telling me, Mommy, you're always on the phone. I'm trying to talk to you. And how many times I would pick up the phone and they were talking to me and I was doing this, yes, baby, but I was actually having my phone in my hand. And how disrespectful that is that I wasn't thoughtful enough to just put that phone down and be present with them, and how wonderful it is now to be able to be present. Right effort, right exercise, and then right awareness of the reality of the present moment. Mark Goulston again said, "My gift is how present I am when I." He said it's. I hope he meant one of my gifts. He said my biggest gift is being present. So breaking the habit of the mind was day 2. Day 3 is when we started going from just experiencing the breath in a tiny little area like this area right here to beginning to feel sensations all over the body. And then I'm going to talk to you about how I've been translating those sensations of the body, negative and positive sensations, into my conversations with my team, my time with my children, my dedication, and how I'm actually organizing my life, how I'm making more quality decisions, how my meetings have gone from 1 hour to 40 minutes, 30 minutes to 15 minutes, 5 minutes to 60 seconds, because I am more focused. And as the leader, I am leading this team, and I'm the example. And so I feel like it's just been a wonderful journey being able to learn and implement what I'm learning. And it's just such a pleasure to be able to share this with you. So I'm going to let you go. It's 8:30 right now. So next week I'll come back at 8 o'clock with another lesson on day 3 learnings and what I have found in my daily life. Thank you so much. Have a terrific Saturday. Bye, everyone.